So, what if I told you that a common spice, probably sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now, could be a secret weapon for building muscle and even boosting your sunscreen? It sounds a little out there, I know. Today, we're going to unlock the surprising science of fenugreek, taking it from the spice rack and putting it straight under the microscope. You probably know the smell, right? That distinct, kind of sweet, nutty aroma. It's really the cornerstone of so many curries and spice blends all over the world. It's a truly ancient and familiar flavor. But what happens when you take that common spice out of the kitchen and put it into the lab? Well, it turns out the evidence is pretty compelling. It suggests that fenugreek has some seriously powerful properties that go way beyond just taste. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with its history, then dive headfirst into the hard science on muscle performance. After that, we'll look at its effects on metabolism and an incredibly surprising finding about sun protection. And then we're going to wrap up with the really important cautions you need to know.
Look, fenugreek is nothing new. It's been a staple in traditional medicine for literally centuries. But now, modern science is finally catching up, trying to figure out exactly how and why it works. So what is actually inside these tiny little seeds? Well, fenugreek is basically a chemical powerhouse. We're talking over 175 different active compounds that have been identified. You can think of it as this complex natural cocktail with key ingredients like saponins, which are essentially plant-based steroids, and this unique fiber called galactomannan. These are the compounds that really give fenugreek its power.
All right, let's get to one of the most talked about areas, athletic performance. For anyone who lifts weights or is just focused on fitness, the question is simple, right? Can this plant actually help you get better results? Now, these findings are a big deal because they aren't from just one single study. They're from a systematic review, which looks at multiple high-quality trials all at once. And as you can see, researchers consistently found that supplementing with fenugreek led to better muscle strength, more lean mass, and less body fat. In short, the science suggests it helps create a more anabolic or muscle-building environment inside your body.
Okay, this is one of the most fascinating results from the research, for sure. For years, athletes have been told to take their creatine with a huge dose of sugar to help shuttle it into the muscles. But one study found that combining creatine with a fenugreek extract was just as effective as that high-carb method for improving strength and lean mass. This could be a total game changer, offering a way to boost your creatine uptake without having to slam all that sugar.
So what does this all mean? Well, science is now starting to classify fenugreek as a legitimate ergogenic aid. It's just a fancy term for anything that can enhance physical performance. So it's no longer just old folklore. Fenugreek is really earning its place as an evidence-based sports supplement. But fenugreek's benefits aren't just limited to the gym. It also seems to play a pretty big role in our metabolism, specifically with how our bodies handle sugar. And the way it does this is surprisingly, well, low-tech. It's actually less about some complex hormonal effect and a lot more about basic physical chemistry. When the fiber in fenugreek gets wet, it forms this thick, gel-like substance called a colloid. The best way to picture it is like a microscopic mesh net that forms in your digestive system. And this net is thought to physically trap or at least slow down sugar molecules, which in turn slows down how quickly that sugar gets absorbed into your bloodstream. Pretty cool, right? And here's another little piece of the puzzle. It's pH. Water soaked with fenugreek is surprisingly alkaline, with a pH somewhere between 8 and 9. Now, researchers are still studying the exact implications, but they believe this stable, non-acidic environment might be another key to how it works inside our bodies.
Okay, so we've covered muscles and metabolism, which, makes a certain amount of sense for a nutritional supplement. But get ready for a total curveball, because this next area of research is completely unexpected. We're talking about skincare.
The idea was actually pretty simple, but brilliant. What if those same properties that let fenugreek form that gel-like colloid could be used to enhance UV protection? So, a team of scientists took a regular off-the-shelf sunscreen and just mixed it with fenugreek water. And the results, just look at this chart. They were absolutely staggering. The sunscreen by itself offered about 30% UVB protection. Not bad, but look at that second bar. When they mixed it with fenugreek water, the protection just skyrocketed to over 87%. That's almost a threefold increase in UV blocking power.
This table basically tells the same story, but it puts it in terms of SPF, sun protection factor. The cream alone had a calculated SPF of about 1.2, but add the fenugreek water and it jumps to 3.5. And what's really interesting is that this effect was stable,
it remained just as high even 18 hours later, which suggests it's a lasting enhancement.
Okay, so after all that exciting potential, it's time to pump the brakes a little bit and do a reality check. It is absolutely essential that we understand what's driving these effects, and more importantly, what the limitations and potential risks are.
So, what's the magic sauce here? Well, as you can see, it comes down to specific bioactive compounds with these long scientific names, like steroidal saponins and a very unique amino acid. These molecules are believed to be the main drivers behind fenugreek's anabolic and androgenic or testosterone-influencing activity.
However, and this is a big however, we have to be really honest about the state of the science right now. A lot of these studies, while promising, used very small groups of people. And critically, almost all of the muscle performance trials were done exclusively on men, so we have no idea if these results apply to women. Plus, not all fenugreek is the same. The type of extract and the dose can make a huge difference.
And this brings us to the most important caution of all. A 2023 systematic review published in the Journal of Personalized Medicine issued a very direct warning. They said because fenugreek can influence hormones and has these high levels of certain compounds, there is a potential for liver and kidney strain. Athletes especially need to be aware of doping regulations. This is serious stuff.
So what's the bottom line here? The science behind fenugreek is, without a doubt, exciting. But we have to balance that promise with some serious caution. This is not a magic bullet. It is a potent plant with very real biological effects that demand our respect.
And this leaves us with one final thought. We are really just beginning to scientifically prove what traditional medicine seems to have known for centuries. As we continue to isolate and understand these 175+ compounds, you have to wonder, could fenugreek move from being a simple supplement to a key ingredient in really targeted, personalized treatments for our health? Honestly, the research is just getting started.